New free things you can get on your cruise. Most people never ask. Cruise lines quietly give away hundreds of dollars per passenger every sailing, and most people walk right past it without ever knowing it existed. In the next few minutes, I'll show you the free things you can get on your cruise just by asking, including one simple question that changes how the entire ship responds to you. Most people think cabin upgrades are decided before you ever step on the ship. That belief alone is why they never get one. 1. Free cabin upgrades when they actually happen. Ever notice how cabin upgrades almost never happen before you board, but mysteriously appear once the ship sails? That's not coincidence. Cruise lines intentionally hold back upgrades until after departure because unsold cabins stop being inventory and start becoming leverage. Once the gangway lifts, an empty balcony is pure loss, not potential revenue. Here's the part most passengers miss. Upgrades are rarely triggered by loyalty alone. They're driven by balance, balancing guest satisfaction, housekeeping workloads, and guest services efficiency. A strategically placed upgrade can calm a frustrated guest, free up a cabin category, or simplify operations. That's why people with zero status sometimes get moved by the while elite cruisers don't. The real mistake? Asking too early or asking the wrong way. If you request an upgrade during booking or embarkation, you trigger policy defenses. But once you're on board, the conversation changes. The best moment is after the first night, when occupancy data is locked and guest services knows exactly what's unsold. You're no longer asking for a favor, you're offering flexibility. Here's the phrasing that works. If any complimentary upgrades become available later in the sailing, I'd be happy to move. That sentence removes pressure. It signals patience, and it reframes you as cooperative, not demanding. 2 facts matter here. Upgrades are easier after sailing, and flexibility increases approval rates. Some cruise directors have admitted this quietly. They'd rather reward a polite, low-maintenance guest than upsell someone who's already content. It's not about entitlement, it's about optics. You become an easy win. Wait until night 1, visit guest services calmly, and offer flexibility, not expectation. 2. Free specialty dining, the empty table rule. Picture this. It's night 3 of your cruise. You walk past the specialty steakhouse. Half the tables are empty. Inside staff are standing ready, food prepped, lights on, yet the room is quiet. What most guests don't realize is that every empty seat represents a loss the ship can't recover tomorrow. Cruise lines price specialty dining aggressively, but they also plan for no-shows. When those seats go unused, managers are given discretion to fill them, sometimes for free, rather than waste labor and food. That's why the most successful requests don't happen at booking or even embarkation. They happen right before dinner. Here's how it works behind the scenes. Hosts are measured on utilization, not just revenue. A full dining room looks better operationally than a half-empty premium venue, even if some guests didn't pay. So when you approach politely and express interest without demanding a comp, you're helping them solve a problem. The key is timing and tone. The sweet spot is 20 to 40 minutes before service begins, especially on port days or formal nights when plans change. Instead of asking, is this free? You ask, do you have any openings tonight if availability allows? 2 facts matter. Unsold inventory has 0 future value, and discretion increases near service time. Some cruisers even get complimentary bottles or desserts once seated. Why? Because goodwill costs less than wasted capacity. And once you're inside, you're already a success metric. Ask near dinner time, frame it as availability-based, and let silence work for you. Your cabin wasn't designed to be uncomfortable, but it was designed to be incomplete. And that difference matters more than you think. 3. Free in-room comfort items most cabins don't include. Most cruise cabins are intentionally under-equipped, not because the ship lacks supplies, but because cruise lines want to control clutter, storage, and expectations. Fans, extra pillows, mattress toppers, kettles, robes, even humidifiers often exist on board. Just not inside your cabin by default. Here's what's really happening. Ships stock these items centrally, usually managed by housekeeping or guest services, and distribute them only when requested. Why? Because only a fraction of guests ask. That keeps inventory manageable while still allowing the line to say yes when it matters. What surprises people is how broad this list can be. Side sleepers can request foam pillows. Hot sleepers can get fans. Coffee drinkers can sometimes request kettles on lines that allow them. Even mattress toppers, normally associated with suites, are occasionally available if supply allows. Two facts matter. These items already exist on board, and unused inventory doesn't generate value. The biggest mistake is assuming there's a formal menu. There isn't. You simply ask guest services or your cabin steward politely early in the sailing before inventory is depleted. Crew members often say yes because solving comfort issues early prevents complaints later. It's preventative hospitality. Veteran cruisers know this. The cabin you book is only the starting point. The cabin you end up with depends on how well you communicate your needs. Ask for comfort items on day 1. Early requests have the highest success rate. 4. Free celebrations, even if you're not celebrating. I once watched a couple receive a surprise cake, cabin decor, and champagne. Not because it was their anniversary, but because they casually mentioned it was their first cruise together. That's when it clicks. Cruise lines don't reward events. They reward emotional moments. Celebrations on board are less about calendars and more about storytelling. Birthdays, anniversaries, honeymoons, retirements, reunions, first cruises, these all signal a guest forming a memory. And memory makers are the guests cruise lines want to retain. Behind the scenes, crew are empowered to escalate special occasions because the cost is minimal and the return is massive. A $20 cake can anchor a lifelong brand connection. That's why even vague celebrations, like first vacation in years or family reunion, sometimes trigger perks. Two facts matter. Emotional peaks drive satisfaction scores, and small gestures outperform discounts. The key is timing and tone. Mention celebrations casually during booking, at check-in, or early with your cabin steward. Don't ask for anything specific. Let the crew decide how to surprise you. When guests dictate outcomes, generosity shrinks. When they share context, it grows. Some lines even track these moments internally, flagging cabins for potential gestures. You never see that screen, but it exists. Share meaningful moments early, casually, and without expectations. If you've ever paid for room service on a cruise, there's a good chance you paid more than the person next door, ordering the same food. 5. Free room service and menu loopholes that most people miss. Room service on a cruise feels simple. Order food, get charged, move on. But that assumption quietly costs people money. The truth is, cruise room service menus are written to discourage questions, not to explain value. What's included often depends less on the item and more on how you ask for it. Most lines include at least a basic continental breakfast for free. Some include all breakfast items, others include select all-day options but charge a flat delivery fee, not per item. That distinction matters. Once you pay the fee, adding items usually doesn't increase the cost. People who order one thing pay the same as people who order 4. Here's the loophole. Instead of ordering directly from the menu, experienced cruisers ask, which items are included with the room service delivery fee? That shifts the conversation. You're no longer choosing blindly, you're letting the crew guide you to no extra cost options. Two facts matter. Fees are often flat, and inclusion varies by wording. There's also timing leverage. Late night and early morning orders are more likely to be comped or adjusted, especially if kitchens are already operating for crew or shift changes. And if an item is out of stock, substitutes are often added without charge. The biggest mistake is assuming the menu is exhaustive. It's not. Think of it as a suggestion list. The real value appears when you treat room service like a conversation, not a vending machine. Ask what's included before ordering. Flat fees reward fuller requests. 6. Free classes, tastings, and workshops you walk past every day. It's 2 p.m. on a sea day. You pass a lounge where a chef is prepping ingredients. Nearby, a crew member sets out wine glasses. Most guests walk by assuming it's a paid event. In reality, many of the most interesting onboard activities start free and only become paid if demand spikes. Cruise lines schedule far more enrichment than they advertise. Cooking demos, dance lessons, fitness workshops, art talks, language basics, even tastings often begin as complimentary sessions designed to test interest. If attendance stays low, they remain free. If it fills up, they may convert future sessions into paid experiences. Here's the insider move. Go to the first session of anything that interests you. Early sessions are almost always complimentary because the ship is still gauging demand. 2 facts matter. Trial events drive upsells, and low turnout keeps them free. Cruise staff are also encouraged to comp spots rather than cancel sessions. An empty room looks worse than a generous one. So if you arrive early and ask politely whether space is available, you're often waved in, even if later sessions require payment. Veteran cruisers scan the daily planner not for prices but for patterns. If something repeats multiple times, the first one is your best shot. And even paid events sometimes include free samples or abbreviated versions you can attend without committing. Attend first sessions early. Trial events are where free value lives. Cruise Wi-Fi isn't expensive because it's scarce. It's expensive because most people don't know what's already included. 7. Free Wi-Fi access without buying a package. Cruise Wi-Fi isn't actually on or off. It's layered. And most guests only ever see the most expensive layer. Behind the scenes, ships intentionally allow limited connectivity for operational reasons, crew coordination, app functionality, safety updates, and passengers can sometimes tap into that without purchasing a full package. Here's what's quietly included on many ships: access to the ship's app, messaging between passengers, daily schedules, account balances, and port information. On some lines, basic text-only messaging works without a paid plan. On others, certain websites load during port days because the ship switches networks. The workaround isn't hacking, it's awareness. Ask guest services. What internet access is included for app features or messaging? That phrasing matters. You're not asking for free Wi-Fi, you're asking what already exists. 2 facts matter. Ships separate operational access from browsing access, and port networks loosen restrictions. Another overlooked moment is embarkation day. While docked, some ships temporarily allow broader access as systems sync. The same can happen late at night when traffic is low. No guarantees, but patterns exist. Frequent cruisers use Wi-Fi sparingly and strategically. They download content before sailing, use messaging features on board, and save browsing for ports. That alone can eliminate the need for a full package. Ask what connectivity is already included before paying for more. 8. Free laundry, pressing, and clothing help, if you time it right. Ever wonder why laundry prices suddenly drop or disappear mid-cruise? That's not generosity, it's logistics. Cruise ships don't just sell laundry services, they manage workflow. And when that workflow needs balancing, guests benefit. Laundry rooms on board operate at peak efficiency when demand is steady. Early in the cruise, everyone wants clean clothes. Late in the cruise, demand spikes again. But in the middle, capacity often exceeds demand. That's when complimentary or discounted services quietly appear, especially for longer sailings. Here's where asking comes in. Instead of requesting free laundry outright, experienced cruisers say, "Are there any laundry specials running this sailing?" That opens the door. 2 facts matter. Mid-cruise capacity is underused and discretion increases when demand drops. Some lines offer a free laundry bag for loyalty members or on specific days. Others quietly comp pressing for formal nights or urgent needs. Even without status, mentioning a tight turnaround, like an upcoming event, can trigger courtesy service. The biggest mistake is waiting until the last night. By then, demand is highest and flexibility is lowest. Early middle sailings are your window. Seasoned travelers also use self-service laundromats strategically, asking attendants for guidance on best times or complimentary detergent. Small kindness often comes back folded. Ask about laundry mid-cruise. Timing matters more than status. The moment you step off the ship, you're surrounded by paid options. But the easiest way into port is often the one nobody points out. 9. Free transport and port help that nobody explains. You step off the ship into a busy port. Taxis are lined up. Tour operators are calling out prices. It feels like your only options cost money. But just beyond that chaos, cruise lines often have quiet solutions already in motion. Ones designed to reduce congestion, not generate revenue. Here's what most passengers never hear. In certain ports, cruise lines arrange complimentary shuttles to a central drop-off point, shopping district, or beach. Not as an excursion, but as crowd control. These shuttles aren't always advertised because they're operational tools, not selling points. The trick is knowing when to ask. Guest services and the shore excursions desk know exactly which ports have informal transport assistance. The right question isn't, is there a free shuttle? It's, what's the easiest way to get into town from this port? 2 facts matter. Ships want smooth passenger flow and congestion creates delays. In some destinations, ships also provide free tender priority windows or staggered disembarkation advice that saves you money by avoiding peak pricing on shore. Even simple printed maps, often free, can replace paid guided options for walkable ports. Seasoned cruisers treat ports like puzzles, not purchases. They ask how the ship plans to move people, then align themselves with that plan. That's when hidden convenience appears. Ask about easy transport, not free transport, before buying anything ashore. 10. Free entertainment upgrades and reserved access. If you've ever been turned away from a show on board, it wasn't because the theater was full. It was because the system said it might be full. Cruise entertainment runs on controlled overbooking, and that creates quiet opportunities for guests who know when and how to ask. Ships intentionally reserve blocks of seats for VIPs, accessibility needs, late arrivals, and operational flexibility. Not all of those seats get used. When they don't, staff are encouraged to fill them quickly to maintain energy in the room. The insider move is timing. Arrive early, but not first. About 10 to 15 minutes before showtime, ushers know which reserved seats will go unused. That's when a polite question works. If any reserved seats open up, we'd love to attend. 2 facts matter. No-shows are common and late fills are preferred to empty rows. This also applies to specialty entertainment, comedy shows, guest performers, even limited capacity venues. On quieter sailings, staff may upgrade seating locations or allow standing room entry rather than turn guests away. Frequent cruisers understand this dynamic. They don't argue with policies. They position themselves for exceptions. And when you're gracious about it, staff remember. Arrive early, ask calmly, and let unused seats find you. Some passengers leave a cruise with surprise charges. Others leave with surprise credits, and it's rarely an accident. 11. Free credits, refunds, and billing fixes that quietly favor you. A guest once noticed a $14 charge that didn't look right. They politely asked guest services to explain it. 10 minutes later, the charge was gone, and a $50 onboard credit appeared instead. That wasn't luck. That's how cruise accounting is designed to work. Cruise lines prioritize speed and satisfaction over precision at the guest-facing level. Arguing over small charges costs more in staff time and goodwill than simply crediting the account. So when something looks questionable, drink packages, Wi-Fi fees, dining charges, the default resolution often leans generous. 2 facts matter here. Most billing errors are ambiguous, and guest services agents have discretionary credit authority. If the issue isn't crystal clear, they'd rather overcorrect than escalate. That's why calm, curious questions outperform confrontational complaints every time. The winning approach is simple. Don't accuse. Ask for clarification. Can you help me understand this charge? Invites explanation without friction. If the system can't immediately justify it, the fastest fix is removal, often with a goodwill credit attached. Veteran cruisers check their folio daily, not at the end. Early corrections are easier, and repeated small interactions build rapport. By the final days, that familiarity quietly works in your favor. Review your account daily and ask early. Clarity invites generosity. 12. the one question that changes everything on board. Most cruise perks aren't unlocked by what you ask for, but how you ask. Crew members operate inside policy boxes, but they're trained to respond to collaboration, not confrontation. That's why one simple shift in phrasing changes outcomes across the entire ship. Instead of asking, "Can I get this for free?" experienced cruisers ask, "Is there anything available that might help with this?" That question is powerful because it does three things at once. It acknowledges limits, it invites discretion, and it hands control to the person who can say yes. Here's the psychology. Crew members are evaluated on problem solving and guest satisfaction, not rule enforcement. When you ask open-endedly, you allow them to choose the solution that fits policy and generosity. Two facts matter. Discretion exists, and autonomy increases willingness. This works everywhere. Guest services, dining, housekeeping, entertainment. It's why some passengers seem to glide through problems while others hit walls. The difference isn't status, it's phrasing. Seasoned cruisers don't hunt freebies. They present situations and let solutions emerge. And once a crew member helps you once, future help becomes easier. Ask open-ended questions that invite solutions, not exceptions. Cruise lines don't hide free perks to be stingy. They do it to reward awareness, flexibility, and good timing. The biggest difference between an average cruise and an incredible one isn't money. It's knowing when to ask, how to ask, and when to wait. If there's one takeaway, it's this. Treat your cruise like a conversation, not a transaction. The ship is designed to say yes, just not all at once. This video is for informational purposes only. It is not professional travel, medical, or financial advice. Always consult qualified experts before making decisions. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.